All right, first thing I want to do, apologize for the sound of this video. Something's wrong with my laptop, getting that fixed. But unfortunately, we have another case of an unarmed black man being killed by a police officer. This time it's in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I'm sick of reporting these stories. I'm sure y'all sick of hearing them. But this is something we have to do. No matter how difficult it is to hear, no matter how difficult it is to look at these videos, this is reality and it's not going to go away. So we just can't ignore it. And this situation was very similar to what happened to Eric Gardner with the I can't breathe situation. The video cuts on with a police officer with his knee in the back of the neck of this unarmed black man while he's in a prone position on the ground. The man continuously was stating that he couldn't breathe. It was bystanders talking to the police was like, listen, he can't breathe. Like, what is y'all doing? It was a total disregard for his health, completely. Now, the police claim that he was resisting arrest. That was initially the report, that he was uncooperative. But to me, that doesn't matter. At the point the video cuts on, he wasn't a threat. And then you see on the video, eventually he starts not to move. And when they put him in the ambulance, they still have the cuffs on him. I mean, it just total disregard for his health, total disregard for his safety. Now, do I think the police meant to kill him? Probably not, but they still had a disregard for him as a human. I feel like they wanted to inflict pain on him. And it might not have been to kill him, but to me, this is still manslaughter, at least, It's just difficult to watch. And the one good thing about this case is these police officers were fired for them. They were all fired and not suspended. That's a positive. The mayor of Minneapolis came out, made a statement, basically stating that this is unacceptable. The police chief came out basically stating that this is unacceptable. So at least on that front, that is good news. However, when it comes to prosecution, I am less optimistic about that because you know how these cases go. But just super sad. It's super sad. I know it's a protest scheduled for tonight. And again, got mixed feelings about protests. I know a lot of people in my generation are kind of just sick of protests because it doesn't seem like a lot come from them. But I'm not totally against them because I do think it gains attention. I always say, what's the next step though? After you do the protest, after you get the attention, after the media's there, what's the next steps? Protests can't be the end of the game, but it can be one tool. The tool to get attention, but once you get that attention, you need another plan, another solid plan. And one of the things I think we need to talk about, because these incidents is not going to stop, it's going to keep going. This is definitely not the first and definitely not going to be the last. I mean, how many cases just over the last few weeks we have? You have the Ahmaud Arbery case. You have Breonna Taylor. So you have all these police brutality cases you've seen in New York City during this quarantine situation. So we need to have a broader conversation of, okay, why is this happening? And a lot of people would just say it's racism. And yes, that definitely is it. But another reason is no consequences, lack of power dynamics. So what strategy are we going to use to change this? I mean, I don't want to just keep, having these incidents happen. We protest and they may or may not take the case to trial. That's been the pattern so far. And it's just not good enough. It's not good enough. We need a better strategy. Again, we need to talk about a national use of force model. And it's going to be very difficult because usually these incidents and police departments are handled by local government and state governments. So it's not going to be easy, but I mean, we can do it. We can definitely put the pressure and have have feds talk about it. I mean, because even if we get changed, let's just say in one area, you go to the next city and things are still messed up. What good did that do? We need a national use of force model. Basic. I mean, police departments and local areas can still have additional rules, their procedures, but we need at least a baseline use of force. That's what I want to see. That's definitely what I want to see. And if a police officer violate that baseline use of force, well, they should be prosecuted. That's where it needs to go. That's definitely where it needs to go. And we need to start having conversations about that. So when we're doing protests, that's one of the things that we need to start mentioning. In this particular case in Minnesota, I know the FBI is getting involved in it. I'm interested to learn more about the situation, to see why the FBI is involved. Is this going to be a civil rights violation? That haven't been made clear as of now. So it might be more to the story. And by the way, I keep saying the man in Minnesota because they haven't released his name yet. So I'm interested to see where that go in the story. But once again, I want to drive home this point. For me, we need a national use of force. There's other ideas too. That's not the only one. Whatever policy solution or just solution we have in general, we need to start talking about it. Because again, these situations is not going away. So we do have, I guess, well, I won't even say I guess this is good news, even though the situation is still tragic. Our brother Kenneth Walker is released from jail. All charges been dropped. So that's a positive, but still a tragic situation. Kenneth Walker, of course, was the boyfriend of Breonna Taylor, and that situation is still just super sad. I want to see where that situation goes, and what comes about with that. And a lot of these stories, we need to start doing update stories, because there's a bunch of stories with police brutalities in the news for maybe a week or so, and then a lot of times it goes away. So one of the things I want to do is start doing follow-up reports with a lot of these incidents. So good news, but then back to, the real situations that's going on. So a few weeks ago, I reported about the Miami doctor, Dr. Henderson, Unarmed Henderson, I believe his name is. And he is a black man, a doctor in Miami. He was going around doing community service, testing homeless people for COVID-19, and he was harassed by the police. His video out on that. They was about to arrest him right in front of his house because he had, I guess, a van open. It was real crazy situation, and the judge in Miami backed up the police officer, but I believe he's still suing. So we'll see where that case goes, and that's why I'm saying we need clear rules, national clear rules when it comes to these types of situations. And I hate to have to start that video, this video with these stories, but again, this is what it is. And a lot of people of my skin complexion have dealt with these incidents with police officers. I've been racially profiled before, and it definitely infuriating. So yeah, it's definitely infuriating. So back to the campaign, right? Joe Biden, I think everybody then heard about the "you ain't black" comments by now. His interview with Charlemagne. I think Charlemagne did a pretty good job in the interview. Um, there was times where I kind of wish he would have interrupted, but I understand why he didn't, because with a guest like that, you kind of just want them to get the full thoughts out, and sometimes they hang themselves with their answers. I think Biden was trying to filibuster the conversation because I didn't think he wanted a lot of questions to be asked. So he just was rambling and rambling and rambling about nonsense. I mean, here's the thing with Biden, right? He should win this election. Trump is very unpopular. He's leading in most of the polls. However, it's not about national polls, it's about swing states. So it's still going to be very competitive in the swing states, even though Biden's going to win the popular vote. And he could win if he doesn't mess it up. It's his election to lose. And Biden is gaffe prone. He could very well lose this election. He could very well do it. I mean, the just the whole interview was a disaster. People just focusing on that part, but if you watch the whole interview, I mean, this dude was actually defending the crime bill. Like, what type of political sense does that make? You really defending the crime bill? Really, dude? Really? There's nothing about the crime bill to defend. I mean, it, I don't know, and that's why I'm personally gonna vote, just because I feel like the courts are so important, and Trump then filled up the courts with extreme right wingers. So if cases like, let's just say we do pass national use of force, if it goes to one of these extreme judges, the likelihood it stands up in court, it's not looking good. So that's the only reason that I am voting for Biden. I wouldn't say the only reason. He, like, in some other issues, he's, slightly better than Trump. But it's more that I'm voting against Trump than I'm voting for Biden. And I know people are sick of that because they use it as a boogeyman. But my thing is, like, let's do the least damage we can right now. And it is a lesser of two evil votes. And in 2024, let's get our act together. Like, we need to pick a candidate that we can support in the primaries of 2024 and get behind them. Because, like, black people saved Biden campaign. And it was the wrong move. I didn't support Joe Biden in the primaries. Joe Biden's one of the last candidates I wanted to win. It was between him and Pete Buttigieg. Those are the very those are the two candidates that I couldn't stand. Oh, and Bloomberg too. Bloomberg, Bloomberg is worse than all of them. But I'm not even going to get into that. But yeah, Biden, Biden wouldn't have won without black support. The time to ask and demand concessions from Biden was during the primaries. It's hard to do so in the general election because you gave them your vote for nothing. And, like, so we stuck in this situation where we have two bad candidates. You have Trump and Biden. So I understand people that don't want to vote, and I'm not going to say nothing about it because it's solid points. I kind of throw up in my mouth when I think about voting for Biden. So I understand everybody that right now that just like, I just can't do it with Biden. I got you. I understand, but for me, I'm just thinking a long-term strategy with judges and future laws I want in place. To me, the bet is more likely that Biden do less damage just because of the judges. And that's my calculation. So that's the only reason I'm voting for him, or one of the main reasons I'm voting for Biden. Even though I can't stand him and I despise him as a candidate. So again, in my opinion, it's just what I'm going to do. I'm gonna vote for Biden in 2024. We need to find a candidate to address our issues. You know, that's what we need to do, in my opinion. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm gonna be back Thursday. Hopefully, I have my laptop by then, and I can do a better video with a better camera, better sound, and all that. For those of you who watched this whole video and stuck with me, even though I'm doing it on my phone, I definitely salute y'all. Um, Thursday, I want to talk about, you know, I'm gonna talk about a few different subjects. You know, it's gonna be some national news stuff, but you know, it could be some comic talk. It could be some battle rap talk. We're gonna mix it up a little bit more on Thursday. So I'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.